Hello everybody, it's your boy the Chaotic One, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today I will be teaching you the steps to becoming a Dungeon Master for any tabletop role-playing game, including Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinders, and other. The first step is to just do it. You will never become a good Dungeon Master if you don't run in head first into even with all the anxiety and fear of player backlash behind you. Everyone will make mistakes when they start out. Hell, you will continue to make mistakes even when you have been a DM for a long time. First things first, you're going to need a copy of the player handbook. This is going to be your first step into becoming a dungeon master, hell, even becoming a player. This book contains everything you need in order to effectively play D&D. Inside you will find rules, how to create your character, what to do during exploration, combat, equipment, spells, as well as how much things will cost when your players inevitably waste all of your prep time on a campaign to instead of going on an awesome adventure to instead spend an entire session doing nothing but shopping. Speaking of shopping, for the love of God, have a list of names with you at all times. Why? Because that unimportant NPC that you force yourself to introduce to run a shop, or that one prostitution that one of your players had a alone time with, that you didn't give a name to, will obviously result in your players asking them what their name is, and you will sit there thinking to yourself, why the hell am I doing this? That's why you need to have a list of random ass names just in case this happens and you don't have to sit there for 30 seconds panicking because you didn't come up with a name. Also, this is something I'm having to teach my current DM in training at our little table, is do not under any circumstances create an NPC that is either in your mind the main character, especially considering the term main character is taboo in D&D. This is due to the fact that D&D is a player's game, not your game. You create a game for your players, not for you. Your players will have close to 100% of control what happens in this campaign. Don't get me wrong, NPCs are needed, but they should not dictate how the story progresses. I will give an example. A poorly dressed woman comes running to you. She's clearly out of breath and is covered what you believe to be either mud, blood, or even possibly soot. She pleads with you to come save her two children, one of which is just a baby. She also tells you that she doesn't have any money to pay you. Your players could honestly do a number of things here. They could accept her plea for help, just kill the woman because they're just a bunch of heartless murder hobos and that was your fault for introducing an NPC, or just outright deny her. If you had planned for the party to help this woman and the party does anything besides that, oh well, improvise the rest of the session. Hell, tell the party that you need to take a 5 to 10 minute break just to come up with something. Nobody wants to be in a railroading D&D campaign, so don't force your players to do something if they don't want to do it, because every player has a different way of playing. Also, I had an instance like this 2 weeks ago where the players said they were going to do what the NPC would do. I told them at a game that I couldn't let the NPC be making all the decisions for them, since it wouldn't be right. But do note there will be times where that, of course, does happen. What you're seeing right here are my notes for my next session in my campaign. As you can see, there is nothing special here. If anything, it's vague in some places, very specific in others, with a lot of room for both errors as well as improv. Of course, things will happen in between each bullet point that you may or may not expect. Honestly, I suggest being a bit more vague in your notes than I was, and I know this does sound a bit hypocritical, but yes, I do have a NPC telling my players what to do. But the players do have a choice not to listen to him, but as of my last session, they are, since they are being paid a shit ton of money by him to do so. I'm going to be honest with you. There are no such thing as original ideas in a D&D campaign. Currently, my players are going through a story arc that I'm dubbing the Tribal Chief arc, getting ideas for the arc from a storyline off of WB following a group called the Bloodline, where the leader is dubbed the Tribal Chief. Now you might be asking, that sounds like utter garbage, since pro wrestling and D&D cannot function together. You'd be right, if I was copying every single detail from that storyline in this campaign. Which, you see, if you were to do something like that, it's going to suck. However, 90% of the thing that you're basing off of, let's say you're basing your campaign off Lord of the Rings, 90% of that needs to be changed in order for it to be, not just straight out copying, with, it's just being based off of it. I'll give some examples of what I'm doing. A pro wrestling match that is, of course, seen in WWE is being replaced by Coliseum battles, and battles rarely take place in this campaign anyway. Adventures have been added to enhance the D&D element of the story. As you can see in the notes, I've had the tribal chief ask the players to go help out on the outskirts of the island with a dwarf by the name of Bronco who's been having some problems with a monster. As well as the soap opera elements of pro wrestling have just been straight out replaced by just naturally occurring elements that you would see in a fantasy element. Let's say a conflict needs to happen. Well, there's a tavern where conflict typically happens, or, just in the middle of the street. Well, that's pretty much my advice into becoming a DM for the first time. My next D&D video will be about how to do combat as a DM, so stick around for that. If you have any questions, just let me down below. Also, you don't need to memorize every little detail in the Dungeon Master Player Handbook. Just, whenever you don't know something, just look at it, because, you're a good DM if you apply knowledge, not memorize it, unlike our school. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.